a production of South Carolina ETV.
Before Judge Gary Cleary sentenced her, he told the courtroom this was a difficult case for him, and he said he had a daughter Shayna's age.
Shayna and Nikisha, one night after having the ultimate party experience, they did what every kid thinks would be the coolest thing to do. Worked, drank and smoked a little weed too, wanted to play some more, had a good time. They didn't mean to hurt anybody, didn't intend to go kill anyone that day.
The night of the accident, everybody was just sitting down having a normal conversation, just talking about the day, how the day's been.
There's nothing wrong with having a good time. Only when that good time gets to the point you start killing people. Men, women, you start killing babies, 3 years old, 18 months old. That's when no longer is a good time.
Shayna had already had prior plans, spoken with the other guy that she was supposed to meet up with, and we had all met up about 6:30 or 7 that evening.
They were partying down, not had a care in the world, and chose to get on that exit ramp, go down the interstate, and killed not only a man and his 2 babies, but she killed her own life. She took away her privileges because we had to. The consequences were 30 years. She's not eligible for parole.
After we had left the house that we had been partying at, I would say her driving, she was definitely wasted, and at that time I was scared for my life to be in the car with her and tried to convince her to pull over so we could call somebody to come get us. I told her that, let's go to the nearest, because they did not have a telephone, and it was by that time it was midnight, and I told her that we needed to go somewhere, even if it was a neighbor's house, to call somebody, and she insists that we got in the car and we drove. So we got in the car the whole time, praying, God, please watch over us.
And they stopped at a 7-Eleven convenience store, and the clerk tried to get him a taxi cab.
He said, you don't want to do this, that I'll call a taxi for y'all. And I said, that's fine with me, that's great. Let me go tell Shayna so we can, get someone to come call for us so we can get home safely. And when I told her that, she got hysterical, saying he's going to call the cops, we're going to go to jail, get in the car. And so I did again.
That's not a clear-thinking person. That's the alcohol talking. You're okay, go ahead and drive. No, you're not okay when you start listening to that little thought in there and you done had well over your limit and you can barely speak. You're stumbling around. Oh, your friend's going to laugh at you and go, oh, that's funny, right? Right up to the point you kill somebody.
When we pulled up at the second store, I went inside. I said, I don't feel good. And by that time, I had gotten really sick, and I got sick in the sink and passed out. I don't recall for how long. And then by that time, Shayna had come in. She had done the same thing. She passed out after getting sick from throwing up.
Nikisha went in. She's getting sick. She's passing out. She's hurling in the sink. Shayna hurling, throwing up, and they both pass out. Nikisha says they both are passed out together. But when they wake up, Nikisha is still wanting to stay and not go. Shayna becomes a different person.
Shayna had hit like split personality. And It was 1 minute she'd be at the car, you know, waiting on me. Next minute she was, you know, hitting the doors, not, you know, knowing to go into the right door. And nice 1 minute, come on, you know, we need to go home, bring you to your son, he needs you. Next minute, get in the car, let's go. So, you know, I'm really scared at this point, and I refuse to go.
Shayna now wants to go, and she's not interested in her friend. She leaves her purse in the car and didn't want to wait for her. And despite efforts of the convenience store clerk, she gets in that car and drives away to a totally different destiny.
It's been told to me that if you let an action happen, you condone to it, regardless of the outcome of it, if you take no action to prevent it. In this case, it wouldn't have took much for a person to say, you're going to give me these keys. We're best friends, right? But you're out of it. You're going to end up hurting someone. Drunk driving, would you give your friend a loaded gun and tell him, well, by chance, just kind of go around the neighborhood waving it around in there? No, you wouldn't. Would you go into a crowded restaurant and let a person take out a steak knife and just start swinging it around, you know, knowing that it's innocent people sitting there? No, you wouldn't.
I said, no, you know, we need to call somebody. And the clerk at the same time is like, why don't you give us the keys? So, you know, we're sitting around waiting and waiting. And then finally, she gets really mad and storms out the door, going out the wrong door, and then turns around, heads out the door, gets in her car, and she speeds out of there with no lights on or nothing.
Driving a vehicle while you're very intoxicated to the point where you get on the interstate going the wrong way. It's just looking for disaster, and that's what happened.
For the longest, they've been telling you it's wrong to get out there and drink and drive. But do we do it? No, we ignore it because it's like the lottery. I'm going to take a gamble. Then I take that chance. I can get from this place home without murdering anybody.
After about 5 minutes, we saw police cars, ambulance, fire trucks, and you get that gutty feeling, you know, seeing Shayna just leave speeding off, and I just knew it was her. So we immediately called the police.
This morning, an Augusta family on their way home never made it. They were killed in a head-on collision. The accident scene has been cleaned up, but left behind are these 3 crosses on the highway. Dexter Hearns of Augusta and his 3-year-old and 18-month-old daughters were killed instantly. The Highway Patrol says 19-year-old Shayna Lively of Augusta was drunk and driving on the wrong side of the road. The crash happened about 1:30 this morning on Interstate 20 near mile marker 7. That's the North Augusta stretch of the highway. This is the first multi-fatal crash in Aiken County this year. Mr. Hearns was wearing his safety belt, and both girls were in safety seats.
We was there, and we talked with the troopers that was at the site, and he lived a little while after that. Do you want to know what it was like? Would you like for me to tell you? He moaned, he groaned, he wanted his family there. He died in the cold, alone, on the side of the road. His babies died from a broke neck. They were asleep in the car seat. Can you imagine, can you just imagine dying alone on the side of a highway with no one there that you knew?
When I arrived, well, prior to me arriving to the scene, the ambulance crew came back over the radio and advised that they had 3 DOAs